He saved an Apache child. Then her fierce, beautiful mother changed his fate. He was a frontiersman, a scout known for courage and honesty, traveling through this remote land to deliver supplies to a distant settlement. The wind carried the smell of dry earth, and the occasional cry of a hawk echoed in the canyon. Ethan had learned long ago to respect the land. It was beautiful but dangerous, and every step demanded caution. As he moved through a winding path between two rocky ridges, a sudden sound made him stop. At first it was faint, almost like a whisper carried by the wind. Then it came again, a small, terrified cry. Ethan's hand went instinctively to the handle of his knife, but something in the tone of the sound stopped him. It was not a call of danger, it was a call for help. He strained his eyes, looking down into a narrow gorge below. There, clinging to a jagged rock, was a small figure, a little girl. Her clothes were torn, her hair matted, and her face streaked with dirt and tears. Ethan's heart tightened. Without thinking twice, he dropped his pack and started descending the rocky slope. Each step was careful but fast, knowing the rocks could give way at any moment. The girl's cries grew louder as he neared, her small hands gripping the edge of the cliff like a lifeline. "Hold on, I'm coming," Ethan shouted, his voice steady to calm her. The child looked up, her wide eyes filled with fear. She didn't move, unsure whether to trust this stranger. Ethan's heart ached at her trembling form. He took off his jacket and tied it securely to a nearby branch, making a rope to reach her safely. Inch by inch he climbed, keeping his movements slow and deliberate. The wind tugged at him and dust fell from the rocks, but he did not hesitate. Finally, he reached her. "It's okay," he said gently. "I won't let you fall." He extended his hand. The girl hesitated, then slowly grasped it. Her fingers were tiny, but her grip was strong. Ethan smiled reassuringly. With careful movements, he lifted her to safety. As he held her close, she buried her face against his chest, shaking. "There, you're safe now," he said softly. "I've got you." It was soft and melodic, full of emotion. He didn't understand the words, but the meaning was clear. She was scared, but she trusted him. He wrapped his jacket around her shoulders, keeping her warm. The sun was beating down, and the trail back to her village would be long, but Ethan did not complain. As he carried her carefully down the trail, he thought about what could have happened if he had not arrived when he did. A flash flood had probably swept through the canyon moments before, catching the little girl alone. She must have fallen and clung to the rock in terror. Ethan's heart beat faster at the thought. The desert was beautiful, yes, but it could be merciless, especially for someone so small and vulnerable. They moved slowly, with Ethan scanning the path ahead for danger. The desert was silent now, as if holding its breath. The little girl eventually lifted her head and looked at him. Her dark eyes were wide, cautious but curious. Ethan smiled and nodded, hoping to reassure her. He tried speaking softly, "What's your name?" As they moved further, the landscape changed. The canyon walls rose higher, casting long shadows on the sand. The wind brought the scent of sagebrush and distant water. Ethan knew he had to be careful. The desert was not only a place of natural dangers, but also home to other humans who might not welcome a stranger carrying a child. He needed to reach the village safely, without alarming anyone. Hours passed as they made their slow journey. Ethan shared stories with Naya, speaking of his travels, the animals he had seen, and the stars at night. She listened quietly, sometimes asking questions in her soft, melodic language. He did not understand all of it, but he could see her fascination. For a moment, she forgot her fear and smiled. That small smile made every step worth it. As the sun began to dip behind the rocky ridges, casting a golden glow across the desert, Ethan saw smoke rising in the distance. Relief flooded through him. This was the Apache village, their home. He slowed his pace, knowing that approaching carefully was essential. He did not want to frighten anyone, especially Naya's family. When they reached the edge of the village, Ethan noticed movement. Figures appeared between the huts, watching him closely. Naya's small hand gripped his arm tightly. Then, among the people, a woman stepped forward. She was tall, strong, and carried herself with a presence that seemed to command respect. Her dark hair fell over her shoulders and her eyes were sharp, watching every move Ethan made. Naya tugged at Ethan's arm, pointing to her mother. "Yana," she whispered. Ethan nodded and stepped forward slowly, keeping his hands visible. "I found your daughter," he said clearly. "She was in danger. I brought her back." He knew that saving the child was only the beginning. Now he had to earn their trust. Yana approached cautiously, her steps silent and deliberate. She examined Naya, who ran to her mother, wrapping her small arms around her waist. Yana held her close, her expression softening just a little as she looked at Ethan. "You are far from home, stranger," she said in a steady voice. "Why are you here?" In this land, action spoke louder than words. Saving Naya had shown bravery, but trust would take time. He respected her strength and knew that her judgment was final. The village elders began to emerge, curious and cautious. Children peeked from behind huts and dogs barked softly. Ethan's heart beat fast. He had to show that his intentions were honorable. He stepped back slightly, giving Ayana space to lead. Naya clung to her mother but kept glancing at Ethan with a small, trusting smile. That smile was a quiet promise that she believed in him at least a little. Ayana spoke quietly to the elders and they nodded in agreement. She turned back to Ethan. "Come, stranger," she said. "We will see if your heart is as true as your actions." As the sun disappeared behind the horizon, the sky turned shades of pink and orange. The desert grew quiet, almost peaceful, but Ethan knew that trust was fragile, and the journey with Naya and her mother was only beginning. He had saved a child, but her fierce and beautiful mother held the power to change his fate entirely. And in that quiet, glowing desert, Ethan felt the weight of both hope and uncertainty pressing gently upon him. Ethan followed Ayana through the village, each step measured and careful. The huts were simple, made from wood and earth, yet they seemed strong against the harsh desert winds. Children peeked out from behind the walls, whispering among themselves. Dogs padded silently at their sides. Ethan noticed the quiet respect the villagers gave Ayana. Her presence alone commanded it. He understood quickly that she was not just a mother, she was a leader, fierce and proud. They arrived at a small clearing where a fire burned. Ayana gestured for Ethan to sit. He did so, keeping his eyes on her, showing both respect and attentiveness. Naya stayed close to her mother, peeking at Ethan occasionally. The little girl seemed calmer now, but the tension in the air was undeniable. Ethan realized that the real test of his character was about to begin. Saving Naya had been simple compared to proving his intentions to her mother. Yana studied him carefully. "Many strangers come to our lands," she said. "Some bring harm. Others bring nothing at all. Tell me, why should we trust you?" She remained silent, her eyes sharp, watching him as if she could see his very thoughts. Finally, she nodded once. "Actions speak louder than words. You will show us who you are. Tomorrow you will join us on the hunt." He understood that this was not only a challenge but a chance to earn their trust. "I accept," he said firmly. The night passed quietly. Ethan sat by the fire, sharing a simple meal with Naya and a few villagers. Naya's laughter filled the air as she mimicked some of Ethan's gestures. It was a small, comforting sound, reminding him why he had acted without hesitation to save her. Sleep came late, but when it did, Ethan dreamed of the desert, of rocks and winds, and of the little girl whose trust he had earned in moments. Morning arrived with a soft glow over the desert. Yana called the hunters together, and Ethan joined them, following closely behind. The hunt was demanding. The sun was hot, the ground uneven, and the animals cautious. But Ethan's skill as a scout showed itself immediately. He moved quietly, tracking footprints, reading the signs of the land and predicting where the animals would appear. The Apache hunters, initially wary, began to nod in approval at his keen eyes and steady hands. Throughout the day, Ayana watched Ethan closely. She observed how he treated the animals with respect, how he listened to her instructions, and how he assisted other hunters without seeking attention. With each careful step and thoughtful action, Ethan slowly earned a measure of trust. Little Naya ran alongside the group at times, her eyes bright, cheering quietly when Ethan spotted a trail or pointed out a safe path. By afternoon, they had successfully hunted enough to feed the village for several days. The hunters returned to the village, carrying their prizes. Ethan felt a quiet satisfaction, not because of his skill alone, but because he had shown that he belonged, at least in part, to this small, proud community. Iana approached him as the sun began to sink. "You have shown skill and respect," she said, her voice steady but softer than before. "But trust is not given lightly. There is one more test." Below, he could see the dry riverbed, the rugged terrain stretching endlessly. "A rival group has been spotted near our lands," she explained. "They do not respect ours or any village that stands in their path. You must help us protect what we hold dear." This was no longer just a test. It was a real challenge, one that would prove whether his bravery matched his words. The village had relied on him not just for skill, but for courage and quick thinking. The evening was tense. Ethan helped the hunters set up defensive positions along the trail, showing his knowledge of the land and how to use it wisely. Shadows lengthened as the sun dipped behind the mountains. Suddenly, movement appeared in the distance, a small band of outsiders approaching with uncertain intentions. Ethan signaled to the hunters, and together they prepared to confront the group. The encounter was brief but decisive. Ethan's quick thinking and careful planning allowed the village to avoid harm. The outsiders saw the readiness of the villagers and withdrew, leaving the Apache community safe. Naya clung to her mother, her eyes wide with awe and relief. Ethan felt a wave of satisfaction. Not only had he defended the village, but he had also protected the child he had saved earlier. Iana approached him once the danger had passed. Her expression was unreadable at first, but then a faint smile touched her lips. "You have shown courage, skill, and respect. You have saved my child and you have defended our home. Your heart is true and your hands do not bring harm. You acted with care, not just strength. That is rare." Ethan spent time learning from the villagers, understanding their traditions, sharing in their daily work and becoming part of their lives. Little Naya followed him everywhere, laughing and chattering in her language. Though he did not understand every word, he could see her joy and trust. Yana watched from a distance at first, her sharp eyes always evaluating, but gradually she allowed herself to trust him as well. One evening, as the sun painted the desert in shades of orange and pink, Yana approached Ethan while he repaired a small fence near the village. "You have changed your fate," she said softly. "By saving my daughter, you became part of our lives. You are no longer just a traveler passing through. You belong here." That is a rare gift. The fierce and beautiful woman who had once regarded him with suspicion had become someone who trusted him deeply, and that trust changed everything. Little Naya ran to them, laughing, her small hands holding wildflowers she had picked. She pressed the flowers into Ethan's hands, smiling brightly. He knelt to accept them, feeling a warmth he had not known in years. Yana watched, her eyes softening, seeing the bond between the child and the man who had saved her. As night fell over the desert, the village quieted. Fires burned gently and stars twinkled overhead. Ethan sat by the fire, thinking of the journey that had brought him here. From the moment he heard a cry in the canyon to the moment he earned a place in this proud and resilient community. The desert had tested him, challenged him, and ultimately welcomed him. He realized that one act of bravery, saving a child in danger, had changed the course of his life. It had brought him into a world of courage, respect, and trust. It had shown him that even in the harshest lands, kindness and bravery could create bonds stronger than any fear. And as he looked at Ayana and Naya, he understood that fate had brought him here for a reason. By saving a child, he had gained a family. By showing respect and courage, he had gained a home. And in that quiet desert night under the endless sky, Ethan knew that his life would never be the same again.